Let's go now to Syria. A day after delivering aid to the besieged Syrian town of Madaya, UN officials described horrific scenes that they say are unprecedented in the nearly 5-year war. Food has been so scarce that residents supported paying $300 for a kilo of rice, a situation that has led to deaths from hunger. Humanitarian groups are currently negotiating with all sides for the evacuation of 400 people, many of them starving. In an interview with Germany's Bild newspaper, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Syria needs to start working on a new constitution as a first step to reaching a political solution to the ongoing war. Putin, who is directing a military campaign in support of Bashar al-Assad, also said that the Riyadh-Tehran diplomatic crisis would complicate Syria peace negotiations.
Concerning Syria, I think that it's necessary to move toward constitutional reform. Of course, it is a difficult process, and after that, on the basis of a new constitution, Syria should hold early presidential and parliamentary elections. Assad does not aim to exterminate the population of his own country. He fights against those who came there with arms in hands. And if civilian population suffers because of this, I think it is those who fight him with arms in hands who are responsible for that first of all, and those who help armed groups.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the situation in Syria, about the deteriorating situation in Syria, because although we are seeing the campaign, the air campaign, Russian intervention, we are seeing everybody trying to help Syria, the images that we are seeing from Madaya are horrible. We're starting, maybe the world is opening its eyes to the scale of the disaster that we are witnessing in Syria. And what about Russia? What Russia's next move is going to be? Is Russia going to persist keeping Bashar al-Assad in his chair?
Well, there is a kind of a tacit decision taken by the Russians and endorsed by the Americans and the West that at least Bashar al-Assad will stay for 18 months. This is the, let's say, the number of months that everybody is talking since the time that there will be the beginning of a process, a political process where the opposition are going to sit with representatives of the government and the others in order to discuss the transition period, which will last, as I say, 18 months. Secondly, the tragedy in Syria, what we saw, the question of starving the people, and making a siege, this goes back, to the Middle Ages. It's like Hannibal, putting a siege over Rome. The tragedy is not only the humanitarian issue, which is really, really very, very difficult, and the suffering is enormous. But the other side of the same coin is the international community, America, the world. They have accepted the faith of the Syrian people, meaning that they will keep Bashar al-Assad. They would like to reach a political solution because of political commodity in this region. And this is where everything is moving.
What is driving me crazy is that the world is just witnessing a second Holocaust. We can start calling the Syrian crisis as Holocaust, the Holocaust of the Syrian people, and nobody's doing anything.
Lucy, with all the respect to the footages we are seeing from Madaya, for example, the international community is examining and is calculating its steps, not directly regarding to the humanitarian situation in Syria, but on the strategic impact of the situation, and we saw in the recent month by the impact of the situation in Syria towards and to the inside of these countries in the West. So they have totally different calculation. I don't say they are not feeling ashamed maybe and sensible to the photos coming from Madaya, but Madaya, it's not their first concern. It is far also to be their first priority. Trying to control this, trying to map this conflict to see who is ultimately the bad and who can be in the camp of the good. And between the good, of course, the regime and the other rebels, there is no agreement about the transition period. Mr. Ambassador talked about the transition period. Among the people of the regime, they do not even agree to discuss this issue, this terminology of a transition period. This is why we see that despite the fact that Russia and Syria are so-called collaborating together on the military level, they have two different political agendas.
Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for being with me.